Hello and welcome to a video lesson from the IELTS Coach. In today's lesson, we are going to look at a speaking checklist. And this is a checklist that I show my students that they can use when they are doing speaking exam practice. Basically, it is a simplified version of the marking criteria that examiners use when they're marking your speaking performance. So we'll have a look at each of the criteria on the checklist. Remember, this is not what the examiners use. It's a basic version of this, but it's an easy way for you to give yourself some kind of assessment, to check that you are doing the main things the examiner is looking for. So let's have a look at the 4 criteria and a few things that you can check within each of those criteria. So the first one we have here is fluency and coherence. So your ability to continue speaking without too much hesitation and without too much doubt. And coherence is your ideas are connected and clear. Connected, each sentence is connected as well as connected to the question. So I have there minimal repetition, minimal hesitation, minimal self-correction. So each of these things you can do. Native speakers also do it. Okay, hesitation and self-correction. I think that, I believe that, so I've corrected myself, I hesitated a little bit. And that's okay, a little bit. So a minimal amount is okay, and then your fluency can still be marked quite well. So those 3 things affect fluency. The last 2 I have in this category are topics developed logically and range of linking words and discourse markers. So this is related to coherence. Okay, so simple thing for topics developed logically is, did you give the answers to part 2 in the order of the bullet point? That's logical. It could be out of order, but it's more difficult to follow. Or when answering a question, do you give your answer first and then the reason? Or do you talk about something else first and then finally give your answer? That's not logical. So do things in order, make it clear step by step. That's a logical way to respond to questions. And for linking words and discourse markers, connect your ideas. Okay, for discourse markers, have phrases to begin the sentence. Okay, we use it a lot more in the writing, as an example, as a result, this is because, but we also need it in speaking. Paraphrase part of the question. That shows that you understand the question. Use that when starting your answer. Moving on to lexical resource, which just means vocabulary, and wide range of vocabulary, flexible use of vocabulary. So it's okay to use the same word more than once. Try and use it in different ways. Use the verb, noun, and adjective form of the same word. Okay, so you're not always repeating. Wide range, so if you do know synonyms, use them, but be careful, make sure they are synonyms, not just complicated and unnecessary ways to say something differently. This is a careful one, idiomatic vocabulary or expressions. Usually when students see this, they go overboard. They do too much. Don't focus on it. If you have 2 or 3 idioms throughout the speaking test, that's enough. That's something the examiner can tick off. Can they use idioms correctly? Actually, yeah. She said over the moon and on cloud 9 or raining cats and dogs in the appropriate context. That was good. If you do it every sentence, that's not appropriate. People don't speak like that. So don't overuse idioms. Don't think about it. They need to come naturally. And usually the problem is they are used inappropriately. You're trying to use it because it's an idiom, not because it's the right expression. So be careful with idioms. Paraphrasing effectively, as I said before, you want to show that you're answering the right question by using part of the question in your answer. And specific vocabulary. So specific to the topic. If the topic in part 1 is shopping, use some shopping language. Okay, supermarket, shopping trolley, queue, shelves. Okay, if the topic is internet, use that. Internet, ISP, service provider, keyboard, modem, if you can. If it's appropriate, use vocabulary specific to the topic. As well, we're specific vocabulary, not just to the topic, but more specific to the context. The example I often give here is go. You can say, I go to the beach, I go to my friend's house, I go home. Can you be more specific? I walk to the beach, I visit my friend's house, I return home. Very simple words, they're not complicated, they're not technical, but they are more specific than go, go, go. So just think about that as well. Not just specific for the topic, but more specific for the activity that you are doing. Next, we'll look at grammar range and accuracy. Obviously, they are testing grammar, and not just about whether it's right or wrong. It is the range. Are you using different types of grammar appropriately, different tenses when necessary, not unnecessarily. So wide range, flexible use, most sentences are mistake-free, and produces natural language. That means you're not using grammar from your native language in English. So you've got to adjust it. You might only use this tense. In English, we need something else. So be careful not just to translate directly, but keep your old grammar. So be careful with the grammar there. With range, just practice answering questions in different ways. Don't always start with I. So, I like sport. Sport is something I like. My favorite activity is sport. So, I, sport, my, different ways to begin, different ways to show that you can alternate the structure. And the last criteria we have here is pronunciation. Easy to understand, only a few errors. So again, you can make mistakes. Most of you are not aiming for a 9. Okay, it doesn't need to be perfect. Don't give up when you make one mistake and say, oh, I can't do it. Mistakes are okay. They're natural, even for native speakers. Wide range of pronunciation features. Okay, this means things like word stress, sentence stress, intonation, chunking, your rhythm when you speak, saying the correct vowel sound and the final vowel sounds. Okay, these are your pronunciation features. Think about which ones you are good at, which ones you need to work on. And errors did not affect comprehension. And this is true a lot of the time. Students think they are wrong. Oh, I say this wrong. Well, not really. It's a little bit different, but I understand it. It can't be anything else. It doesn't affect understanding what you're saying. So don't overreact with pronunciation. Yes, it might be slightly incorrect pronunciation. If you do it once in a speaking test, that's not a big deal. So don't worry about it too much. Look at those things, check as you're listening to yourself. If you've done a recording, check. Did you do these things? Oh, I answered all the questions in the same way. I like, I go, I have, I. Okay, so that's not a wide range of grammar. You need to think of other ways to say that. Or I had trouble with ED endings. Or I didn't do something here. So think about that. And this helps you keep track. I'm not doing this. I need to think about it a bit more. I will leave a link to a copy of this in PDF form so you can download this speaking checklist. It's a good thing just to remind yourself of what the examiner expects. They don't expect perfection. Some hesitation is okay. 1 or 2 mistakes in pronunciation is okay. You don't need to be perfect. This is generally what they are looking for. If you have any questions or comments about the speaking exam criteria, please let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will have more lessons for you tomorrow. Thank you for watching and see you next time.